Hello. Um, Welcome back to Sunshine Talks with Jamie. This is episode 2. I'm going to keep it raw today. I did a little poll, and a lot of you guys, like 5 of you that voted, um, y'all said that you'd rather hear personal stories, and I'm also going to just, share a couple personal stories as things have been happening this week, actually, the past couple weeks. Um, But I think I just really wanted to share just, I think I wanted to talk about grief and forgiveness. And I bring up grief because those of you who know me, I have recently lost my mom in February. It's been a couple months, and it's been probably the hardest couple months I've ever encountered. Um, you think you know the hardest thing you've ever been through until you actually receive something else. And I just want to just go ahead and just share a little bit. My mom and we didn't really have a strong relationship until I got with God, and I want to thank God for that because you learn a lot about forgiveness in regards to like forgiving people, those who hurt you. Like there's like a verse, and I don't know exactly where the verse is at, but it says, God says, if someone slaps you on your left cheek, give them your right. And I think I finally understand what that means. Like, you got to forgive people for things that they've done to you. Although, yeah, it hurts. Like, wow, you called me this, and that, and you're supposed to be my mom, or you told me I was never amount to nothing. And so I had went to a conference in October, and this was like a couple months into me, getting to know God and getting to know who I am and being loved by Him, and yeah, all that great stuff, right? Well, mm, so the best way to put this, and I'll probably share this on another podcast story that I'll share, but God has a way of speaking through others to talk to you. And in this certain case in October, I was going through like a rough patch with an ex friend of mine who we are no longer friends, and I wish him nothing but the best, and I hope he's doing okay. And I'm going to keep him constantly in my prayers because he needs it. That was a wrong comment to say, and I probably shouldn't have said that because everyone needs prayer. Even me, I need prayer too, I'll be honest. But I was going through a lot, like I was feeling betrayal, and at the same time I was trying to kind of like have a relationship with my mom. And at this conference, it's like, I want to say it was like the third day. It's almost like the last time being at a conference, and like last day of a conference. It's like a 3-day conference. I want to say it's called Back to Basics, but I just remember going to the altar call and just getting a breakthrough and getting crazy and just like, just feeling all that hurt inside of me. And a pastor who wasn't even pastoring at that he didn't do the sermon, he comes up to me and he's telling me in my ear, you have to let go of that. How do you expect God to forgive you if you can't forgive others? Everyone like that heard it around me, I think, was assuming it was about the situation I had with that friend of mine. But it really goes deeper than that. It goes deeper with my mom. Like, my mom was my mom for a reason. God let it happen. And yeah, she tried her best with what she had and what she knew. And as an adult, it was really hard to comprehend that. And so when he said those words, he's like, I deliver you from this. And it's crazy because after that, I was able to have a relationship with my mom and, you know, visit her and call her every day. And I think like being able to have that type of relationship and having a mom I always wanted was beautiful. And then losing that is very hard on me. I'm crying. It's good. It's good. This is good for the soul, right? Like, it was finally nice to get that mom I always wanted as a kid. Like, I begged my mom for attention. I wanted her so bad, and she just wanted everything else but her own kids, and that's how it felt. as you grow up in like a toxic household, a broken household, you just like, am I lovable? Am I even lovable? My mom doesn't want to love me. And it was just nice to like finally get this relationship with her. Like I was able to call her every day. I was able to go, let me come visit your mom, and I think I still had some trust issues and stuff. And I'm like, just I think that's kind of like normal in regards to like situations dealing with a parent and a parent that like didn't even know how to navigate life themselves. She was a single mom of two. My dad did drugs, so he wasn't really much in the picture as well. But to me, I think grief is like really hard, and I think you only understand if you've lost a parent yourselves. Or in my case, I lost my mom, who was like a staple in my life. Like she was always there. And the reason I'm bringing up grief and forgiveness is because things will change you in life, and I want to say grief is one of them. And you could sit your whole life having this, unforgiveness towards others. But how do you expect God to forgive you if you can't forgive others? Like he says in one of the verses, love thy neighbor as yourself, and like, can you forgive yourself? And I think sometimes we don't forgive ourselves. There's things that we do and we're just so hard on ourselves, and it's just like, well, for example, I studied all night and I didn't get an A on my test, but I know I can get an A on my test. Like, if you really think about it, like, you're so hard on yourself to the point where you're just like, yeah, I'm not good enough and I'll never be good enough. No one's gonna ever want me. No one's, and you start spiraling, and in reality, like, we have to learn to forgive ourselves, forgive others, people who harmed us or hurt us. Like, they're just hurt people hurt people. I've heard that quote, and I truly believe it's true, because I can tell you my own experience in life. I myself have hurt people because I was hurt as well. Back to the grief, I guess, but grief is really, it's so funny. I say it's funny because one day you're just absolutely fine. Oh, my mom's gone. It's cool. I'm Gucci. This is great. Life's fantastic. I have people who love me. God loves me. And then the next day you could wake up and you're just like, oh, I wish I could call my mom right now. I wish I could call them. I wish I could tell them, hey, guess what? I got an A on my test today. It took a lot for me to completely forgive my mom for the things that happened in the past to me. That will be for another podcast, so stay tuned for that. But my mom, she truly was an inspiration, I think, because she was a single mom, and like now I'm looking back, and yeah, I think it's like when people pass away, you kind of look at everything like, oh wow, they're so great, but how come when people are here we can't tell them that? So if I can do one word of encouragement, I would definitely say, tell that person how you really feel. And by that I mean, if they're doing a good job and they're a mom, go ahead and tell them you're doing a great job, because maybe they don't hear that. Tell them they are enough. Tell them they're worthy. You see your friend and your friend's just not looking good, and you're just like, I know you could do it. I know you could do it. Like, just take a deep breath. I'm here for you. Tomorrow's a new day. And in regards to forgiveness as well, for me, I think that was the hardest lesson I had to learn, because there's still times I catch myself not able to forgive someone because they cut me off on the road, and I have to sit back and check myself and go, Jamie, what are you doing? Like, what would God do? Recently my friend had said, like, what would Jesus do? When you're in certain situations, I know it sounds silly, but it's like, what would Jesus do? And he would just love them. And so now I encourage you guys to also love people. Although they might hurt you, they might be constantly they may be constantly hurting you, but they will have to deal with that at the end of the day. You know what I mean? Like, if you're constantly just being a nice person and being who you are, and if that's who you are, just know that karma is real and you'll get good things to you. And like, for those who do believe in God, God will punish them. There's verses in Psalms and Proverbs talks about how people, like, they may do you dirty, but and it hurts. I guess that's like my reoccurring theme with this is, people may hurt you, but I think it hurts more to hold on to that hurt. And I'm just very thankful that I got my experiences I have. And it's like, I feel like this year's been so crazy already, and a lot of ups and downs, a lot of learning experiences. But honestly, like, I mean, someone's made a comment to me recently, and like, loss, when you have a loss or have grief, that you like cling to God. But I was already clinging to God before this. Like, so I just think it just made my faith go 10 times stronger, because I was seeing the things that God was allowing into this process of my mom passing away. I'm like getting closer with other people that I wasn't close to before. Um, my heart goes out to everyone who's ever lost a parent. It hurts, yeah, and some days are harder than others. Some days are really easy, but just give yourself grace. A friend of mine, she had told me, give yourself grace. Like, you really should, because at the end of the day, if you don't give yourself grace, who else will, And I know it's hard. I'm not trying to downplay losing a parent or losing someone you really cared for as like, oh, no big deal. Give yourself grace. Let yourself feel these emotions. Do some self care. Hang out with your best friend. Hang out with your kids. Just don't take anything for granted. Life is really too short, and I know that sounds cliche, but it really is. Life is really too short. Would you rather have an experience where you're like, man, I should have done this, someone passes away? Do you really want that to be the last conversation you have with somebody? I don't think so. So I think if you're listening to this, maybe it's your sign. Go. Is there someone you need to forgive? Is there someone that you need to talk to? Or you don't even have to forgive them. Tell them you're forgiving them. Pastor Ari Prado had once said, at least if I remember correctly, that you could you could forgive people, and you don't have to go tell them like, hey, I forgave you because you did that. But like, it's God sees your heart, and if you're being pure with intentions, I think that's all that matters. um and on with that note, I just wanted to like kind of like talk about the kind of like steps and processes of grief. For grief, there is like, I think there's different stages, but like, you feel anger, you feel resentment, like, not betrayal, but that's kind of how it feels. Like, acceptance, like, oh, okay, or sadness, but don't stay in these stages. It's okay to feel them. When I first lost her, it was like a roller coaster ride. I was feeling emotions I didn't even know existed. And then, me as a psych major, I was like, okay, what's going on right now, girl? You're getting kind of crazy. And I just remember this is one incident when she was in the hospital. I got a call from her husband, and he was like freaking out because she coded, and I was just like I went numb. I was completely just and it's called emotional numbness. So I was like, okay, well, like, you need to get yourself together, and I like hung up the phone. And looking back now, like, I don't think that's how I should have handled the situation. But looking back, it's like, wow, I really was like not trying to feel this. It's like I knew, my spirit already knew like what was going on. I was like, she's already gone. Um, I wasn't able to talk to her for 2 weeks. My last conversation with my mom was, I called her and she's like, Jamie, I don't feel well, but I'll talk to you later, okay? And then I didn't talk to her for 3 days. And that was abnormal, and I was just kind of freaking out about it. And a coworker of mine was like, you should probably really reach out. And I'm glad I did, because from that moment on, when she was in the hospital, I was in that every day. And um, I just wish that I was a little bit more prepared for it, because it was very sudden. And those who do get the opportunities to be prepared for it, I say don't take that for granted either, because I'm trying to process everything now. And like, yeah, my mom was a little older, but she wasn't meant to die yet. Obviously, I guess she was, because it's part of God's plan. But it's just, sometimes I think it's hard to accept, like, oh, she's really gone. There's things in life that I think are so silly compared to some of these things we deal with. Like, really, like, you're really gonna be mad because someone said something to you? You're really gonna be mad because someone didn't call you back? You're really gonna be mad because someone didn't text you back? Dude, there's bigger things in this world. Like, I just say, like, give yourself a reality check. Don't take things for granted. Just appreciate every single moment you have with somebody. I just, I don't know. I just kind of want to leave that with that note. Just, I just know in my own life, though, that God is so good. He's delivered me from some crazy things. And I don't think I'd be here without him, or my church family, or my best friend, or my sister. Like during that time, like when that was all happening, like February was really rough. I didn't go to any of my classes, my school classes, and that's okay, but I it was hard getting back though. Let me tell you, that mountain was crazy to climb up. Like climbing up those mountains are really crazy, but like when you see that view, it's beautiful. And I know I'm almost done with school, so once I'm done with school, I think it's gonna just be all worth it. Like right now, sometimes when you're in the middle of the storm, it's hard to see that. And grief is a tricky topic. It's tricky because sometimes you don't even know what you're feeling. And if I could say anything to anyone who has grief, if you don't have a therapist, go seek one out. Um, Please seek that out. See a support system. And sorry about the noise outside. I have my window open and people are here beeping their horn. About to shut this here. So, with all that being said, do self care. My self care is buying me some AirPods. Retail therapy. Yeah. So, with that, I kind of want to do a dad joke. If y'all know me, I love dad jokes. So, why did the depressed fish go to the reef? For choral support. So I'm kind of lighten the mood of this podcast a little bit. But I don't know. I just wanted to come on here and make a podcast today. I just have been dealing with a lot the past couple weeks. I've been sick, and just being able to come on here and talk about grief for a little bit. I might do a part two, a part three, I don't know. But with everything that's happened since her death, I have definitely felt my walk with God become stronger. Um, it's kind of like I just don't care anymore. And it's like, I had a sister tell me, how bad do you really want it? Like, how bad do you want your relationship with God? He spits out lukewarm Christians, and that means if you call yourself a Christian, you can't be out here judging people. You can't be out here acting a type of way. And I don't know if that's controversial or not, but personally, I want to be a Christian where people think of me and they're like, wow, she embodied God's love. I don't want to be that Christian that, like, where you attend the church and you're, oh, Jamie goes there. She's judgmental. Yeah, see, I told you all Christians are like that. Like a lot of people give us bad names because they're lukewarm. They're not willing to, like, we're human, and that, like, I get it, we're human, and that we're gonna make mistakes. We're not perfect. Nobody's gonna be perfect. But you really need to work on yourself every single day. You got to pick up that cross and you got to crucify it. You got to pick up your cross and crucify your flesh. That's why they say praying and fasting is really important. And I would highly suggest to get a partner, accountability partner. And I have one of those, and it's kind of nice because it's kind of like we'll check up on each other when we're fasting, and it's like in regards to fasting. I don't know if you're familiar with fasting. It's kind of where you either, like, in my case, I'll either skip a meal or I'll go 24 hours without eating. Sometimes I do dry fast. Dry fast is where you don't even put nothing in your mouth. Those are really hard, but do get your answers quicker. But it's just nice to keep you accountable when you have someone else who's going to keep you accountable. And praying every day and reading your Bible. And I know that, like, people are like, oh, whatever. But you need to find time. How serious are you about this? Do you want a relationship with God? Best way I could put this is think about it. How do you feel when someone you truly care about doesn't talk to you, doesn't respond to you, ignores you? You are hurt, right? You're hurt. You're like, dang, that's how they really feel. Like, I mean, at least in my case, I like to talk to people. So God put that in perception for me. Like, He goes, that's how I feel when you don't talk to me. I'm right here. I'm sitting right here, and I want to have a conversation with you. And it's like, ooh, Jesus, I'm sorry. Like, I had no idea that's how it truly is. But God is good, and God is great, and everything is done for the good for you in His plan He has for you. I hope you all enjoyed this podcast. Give it like 5 stars. I don't know how they say all that, but 5 stars, thumbs up. I wanted to say that before I end this. It's a little bit longer than the first podcast. First podcast was an introduction. I don't think I'm gonna edit any of this. I'm just gonna keep it raw. I do say and like a lot, but I will be working on that. If there's suggestions you have, I'd love critique, but also just don't be mean about it. With everything being said, though, how badly do you want your relationship with God? Don't let grief take over. Don't dwell on these emotions. And if you have emotional numbness like I did, you really need to figure out what emotion are you hiding yourself from feeling. And when you figure that out, let yourself feel it. For my case with my mom, I was hiding sadness. I didn't want to cry. And I was like, I can't cry, that's weak. But if you really think about it, God God even cried, like when Jesus was here on earth, he cried too. Jesus wept. It's in the Bible. I don't know where that verse is, but Jesus wept. And just it reminds me of those T-shirts like "Real Men Cry" or whatever. Real men cry. Real men have tears. Well, real humans have tears, and that's something I've been learning too. God has been working through me, and I can honestly say now, like the more effort I put into God and my relationship with Him, that means like me. Oh my gosh, me waking up super early. I say it with rolled eyes because straight up, dude, it's hard, but it's worth it because then my day's just so much better. I'm at peace with everything. I don't let little comments get to me. Someone says, like, example, someone says, "Oh, you're funny looking." Okay, I'm gonna let it roll off my back, and I'm gonna be like, all right, cool, thank you. Like, obviously that's how you feel, but I know the truth, and the truth is, I think I'm beautiful, and I think that's all that matters. And God obviously thinks I'm beautiful. We're made in His image, and um, yeah. So just how bad do you want your relationship with God? Don't forget to forgive others, because how do you expect God to forgive you? It's it's a long road. Forgiveness is very hard, and I'm not saying it's easy. But you need to forgive those who hurt you. And it might be, dude, that might be an everyday thing until you get to the point where God delivers you from that spirit. I just want to say I love you guys. Thank you so much for supporting my podcast. If no one listens, I know I'm going to re listen to this and I know I'm going to learn something from this because I would love to look back on this and be like, wow, dang, that's crazy. And it's only been a couple months since my mom passed, so I'm still trying to give myself grace with that. It's really hard some days because it's like you just beat yourself up. I'm not good enough. I'm not worthy. I don't deserve friends. I don't deserve love from God. I don't deserve this. But those are lies from the enemy that you got to combat because you ain't letting the enemy win. We ain't letting him win. He's not taking another soul. We are all souls. And if you think about it, what an easier way to forgive somebody is like, think of him as a soul instead of that, like, my ex boyfriend who's like really jerky to me. Like, think of it as a lost soul and they're just lost. And if you can't approach these people, you gotta, they're so toxic, you gotta leave them arm's length. I would highly suggest praying for them. I'm telling you, it humbles yourself enough to know that you are growing and God sees your heart and He knows your heart. As long as you're being pure with the intentions, I think that's all that matters. But with all that, again, I said I love you guys, but I just want to let you know I love you. Please do some self care. Question of the video of the podcast is, what is your favorite self-care thing to do, like for yourself? Like for me personally, I love to take myself out on dates because I love food. I'm a foodie. If you're a foodie, drop a like in the comments. Anyways, I love you guys and I hope you have a great day. Thank you for listening to this podcast.